The ship Eclipse Dawn floated in the silent stretch of deep space, surrounded by a blanket of glittering stars. Inside the bridge, Captain Mira Lorne sat with her eyes fixed on the flickering holographic display in front of her. The screen showed something that shouldn't exist, a pulse of light repeating in perfect rhythm, echoing from somewhere beyond the known galaxy. Her crew was silent. Only the faint hum of the ship's systems filled the air. The signal had appeared 3 hours ago, weak, distant, and strange. It wasn't a distress call, nor was it a transmission from any known world. It carried no recognizable code, no signature, no trace of origin from the galactic maps. But Commander Ryan Holt said he knew it. Mira looked at him from across the control deck. He stood near the observation window, arms crossed, staring into the endless dark. His expression was calm, almost too calm, like a man who had been waiting for this moment his whole life. "It's them," Ryan said softly, breaking the silence. They answered. Mira frowned. "Ryan, we don't even know what this is. The AI can't decode it. No human system uses this kind of signal pattern. It could be a natural anomaly." "It's not," Ryan replied. "It's structured. The timing, the intervals, it's a message. And I recognize the modulation. It's from my home." Mira leaned back in her seat, frustration and disbelief mixing in her mind. Ryan's home? He had spoken about it before. A planet called Terra Nova, supposedly a human colony lost centuries ago during the Great Expansion. Every database said no such colony ever existed. Historians called it a myth, a story told by old spacers who wanted to believe humanity had once reached farther than the stars recorded. And yet, here they were. Receiving a message from nowhere. Lieutenant Juno, the ship's communications officer, looked between them nervously. "Captain, I ran the signal through 3 separate filters. It's repeating every 7 minutes. Each repetition grows stronger. It's not random noise. Someone or something is increasing power on their end." Mira's fingers drummed on the console. "Direction?" Juno hesitated. "Unknown. The signal's bending around gravitational fields like it's skipping through folded space. I've never seen anything like it." Ryan stepped forward. His calm voice cut through the tension. "They're hiding." "They learned to shield themselves after the collapse. They must be using gravitational distortion to stay unseen." "Ryan," Mira said, meeting his eyes, "the collapse you're talking about isn't in any official record. There was no mention of your planet in the archives, no coordinates, nothing. Every trace leads nowhere. How can you be so sure?" He looked out the window again, his eyes reflecting the faint glow of the stars. "Because I remember the sound," he whispered. "That pulse, it's the same one my father used to describe when he spoke about home. He said one day the stars would call back." The words lingered in the air. Mira didn't know how to respond. She wasn't a woman of belief. She was a woman of data, proof, and logic. But something in Ryan's voice carried a quiet conviction that made her hesitate. "Commander," she said after a pause, "if this really is coming from your supposed homeworld, then we need to understand it first. Let's analyze every frequency layer. Juno, begin a full spectral breakdown." "Yes, Captain," Juno replied, fingers moving swiftly across the glowing control board. Minutes passed as the crew worked in silence. The ship's sensors hummed, scanners stretched, and algorithms raced to find patterns. Then the AI's voice echoed softly through the bridge. Signal integrity confirmed. Probability of artificial origin, 98.6%. Message structure contains recurring sequences consistent with human-designed communication systems. The crew exchanged glances. Even Mira felt her chest tighten. Human-designed. That meant it wasn't alien nor random, it was something built by people. "Can you translate?" Mira asked. "Negative. Language sequence does not match any in the current galactic database." Ryan smiled faintly. "That's because it's old. Older than most of your recorded dialects." The bridge lights dimmed slightly as the signal's volume increased. The pulses grew clearer, steadier, almost like a heartbeat echoing across light years. Then came something new. A faint tone woven between the pulses like a voice trying to rise through static. Mira's breath caught. "Amplify it." Juno hesitated. "Captain, the interference could overload the speakers." "Do it." The bridge filled with a distorted hum, followed by a sound that made everyone freeze. It wasn't words yet, it was emotion, tone, rhythm. It sounded like someone trying to speak through water, their voice trembling across impossible distance. Then, faintly, A whisper formed. Home. Return. The sound vanished as suddenly as it came. Silence. Mira's heart pounded. She turned toward Ryan. He stood frozen, eyes wide with disbelief and tears glistening in the corner of his eyes. He didn't speak for several seconds. When he finally did, his voice was barely above a whisper. "It's them," he said. "It's Terra Nova." Juno stared at the console. "That's impossible. There's no record of life signals from that region. It's empty space." Ryan stepped closer to the controls, his hand steady as he adjusted the settings. It was empty. Now it's not. Mira rose from her chair. "Commander, you understand what this means? If you're right, if that world really exists, it changes everything we know about human expansion. But if you're wrong..." "I'm not wrong," Ryan interrupted gently. "I can feel it." They heard the call. The crew exchanged uneasy looks. Science didn't bend to feelings. Yet as the pulses continued to echo, even the most skeptical among them felt something stir deep within. A quiet awe, a sense that they were witnessing something greater than themselves. The AI spoke again. "Captain, the signal's origin point is shifting. Coordinates are realigning, plotting trajectory now." A bright dot appeared on the holomap. It was small, almost hidden behind the glare of a distant star. The AI marked it with a red circle. "Distance?" Mira asked. 14 light days from current position." Ryan turned to her. "That's close enough to verify." "We can reach it," Mira hesitated. The unknown was dangerous. A hidden signal, a planet that wasn't supposed to exist, and a story that defied every galactic record. None of it made sense. But curiosity burned stronger than caution. "Prepare a jump," she ordered quietly. The bridge came alive with motion. The hum of the engines deepened as the ship's systems charged. Outside the window, stars stretched into lines as the warp drive built momentum. Ryan remained still, his eyes fixed on the distant glow of the star cluster ahead. Mira glanced at him. "Commander," she said softly, "you really think they've been waiting all this time?" Ryan's lips curved into a faint, sad smile. "Captain, some homes never stop calling. You just have to listen long enough." The ship's AI announced the jump sequence countdown, initiating in 10, 9, 8. The deck lights dimmed to a cool blue. The hum of power filled the air. Everyone braced as the space around them began to bend. 7, 6, 5. Mira closed her eyes for a brief moment, wondering if she was about to chase a dream or uncover truth. 4, 3, 2. Ryan whispered a single word. "Home." 1. The stars vanished. The eclipse dawn shot forward into the unknown, following a signal that should not exist. A heartbeat in the dark, calling them toward a world no one believed was real. The eclipse dawn drifted through the quiet sea of warped light. Inside the ship, the crew moved with cautious focus, their eyes darting between flickering screens as they traced the faint pulse of the mysterious signal. Every few minutes, the sound returned, soft, rhythmic, and almost human. Captain Mira Lorne stood near the observation window, her hands clasped behind her back. The stars outside seemed to twist and shimmer, like ripples across a black ocean. The ship was following the signal's trail across folded space, crossing distances that normal engines could not handle. She turned to the navigation officer. "Status?" "Stable," replied Ensign Darrow. "We're locked on the signal's path. Estimated arrival 26 hours at current speed." Mira nodded, then glanced toward Commander Ryan Holt. He was sitting quietly at the edge of the control room, studying the readings with deep concentration. His face was calm, but his eyes held a strange mixture of hope and fear. Juno, the communication officer, broke the silence. "Captain, the signal pattern just changed again. The rhythm is faster now, almost like it's guiding us." "Guiding us?" Mira repeated, her brow tightening. "You think they're aware of us?" "I don't know," Juno said. "But it's reacting to our position. Every time we shift course, it adjusts." That made everyone pause. Mira looked at Ryan. "You have any idea what that means?" Ryan leaned forward, studying the waveform. "They're not just answering," he said slowly. "They're leading us home." Mira frowned. "If your planet truly exists, why hide? Why send a coded signal that no one else can trace?" "Because the last time we reached for the stars," Ryan said quietly, "the stars didn't reach back." His words carried weight. Even the hum of the engine seemed to soften. Mira didn't press further. She saw something in his expression, a memory, a pain he didn't want to share yet. Hours passed. The ship glided through dark space, engines glowing faintly. Crew members moved between stations, whispering softly, their curiosity growing. For the first time in years, something unknown and wondrous waited beyond their maps. Mira stayed awake through the long shift, unable to rest. She opened a small holoscreen and began reviewing archived data. She searched every record about lost colonies, every rumor of vanished expeditions. None mentioned Terra Nova. It was as if Ryan's world had been erased from existence, but Rian's conviction never wavered. He approached quietly, noticing her deep in thought. "Still trying to prove me wrong, Captain?" he asked with a faint smile. "Trying to understand," she replied. "If your story is true, why would no one remember your people?" Ryan hesitated. His gaze drifted toward the window where distant stars shimmered like dust. "We were the first to leave Earth during the early expansions," he began. "My ancestors wanted a place untouched by war or greed. They settled far beyond the mapped sectors. For a while, Terra Nova thrived. Then came the cosmic storm." He paused, his voice softer now. "It tore through the system. The storm disrupted communications, shattered satellites, and twisted space-time around the planet. No signals could escape. Generations passed in silence. By the time I was born, no one even knew if Earth still existed." Mira listened, her expression thoughtful. "And yet you found a way to reach out again." He nodded. "We built a transmitter. Ancient tech, but powerful. I helped send a signal into the void before I left. I never thought anyone would hear it." Mira's tone softened. "Maybe someone finally did." Ryan smiled faintly. "Maybe." Suddenly a sharp tone filled the bridge. "Captain," Juno called out. "The signal's amplitude just spiked. I think we're approaching the origin point." Mira and Ryan moved closer to the main console. The holographic display shifted, showing a dark region ahead. It wasn't empty space, it was a thick veil of gravitational distortion like a cosmic fog. "What is that?" Mira asked. Darrow's voice trembled slightly. "It's not natural, Captain. It's like space is folding in on itself." No light passes through. The ship's AI chimed in. "Warning. Unstable gravitational anomaly detected. Recommend reducing speed." Mira nodded. "Slow us down. Keep sensors on maximum range." Ryan's eyes were locked on the swirling distortion. "That's the veil," he said softly. "It protected us." "Protected you from what?" Mira asked. "From being found," Ryan replied. The bridge grew tense. The crew could feel the pull of gravity even through the ship's dampeners. Lights flickered as energy levels adjusted to compensate. The distortion ahead glowed faintly, rippling like a liquid mirror. Juno's screen beeped again. "Captain, I'm detecting faint energy readings inside the field." "It's organized. Artificial. Meaning there's something built in there," Mira said. "Yes, ma'am. Possibly a planetary surface hidden beneath the distortion." Ryan's voice trembled slightly. "It's Terra Nova, it has to be." Mira studied the readings. Everything in her training told her this was impossible. No world could survive inside such chaos, and yet the instruments didn't lie. She turned to Ryan. "If that's your home, how did anyone survive in there?" Ryan took a deep breath. "We adapted. The storm that cut us off changed the world, but it didn't destroy it. It gave us energy beyond what we understood. My people learned to use it, to live with it. That's why the signal can bend through folded space. It's part of that power." Mira looked uncertain. "You make it sound like the planet itself is alive." Ryan's eyes softened. "Maybe it is." The ship drifted closer to the edge of the distortion. The lights dimmed, sensors flickered, and static filled the comms. Outside the window, the veil shimmered like silver mist, vast and endless. "Captain, we're entering the field," Darrow reported. "Hold steady," Mira ordered. "Activate shielding and stabilize our trajectory." The Eclipse Dawn trembled slightly as it crossed the threshold. For a moment, the crew felt weightless, then everything went still. The view ahead changed, the mist cleared. Beyond it, a massive planet came into view, glowing blue and green beneath twin golden suns. The air shimmered around it like glass, but the surface was visible now. Mountain ranges, oceans, and vast luminous cities that sparkled like constellations. No one spoke for a long moment. Juno finally whispered, "It's beautiful." Ryan's voice broke the silence. "Welcome to Terra Nova." Mira stared in disbelief. "It's real." He smiled faintly. "I told you, The crew was silent, overwhelmed by the sight. A planet thought to be myth now floated before them, alive and radiant. Then the calm was broken by a sudden alert. "Incoming transmission," the AI announced. "Source planetary surface." Everyone turned toward the console. A faint voice echoed through the bridge, clear and steady. "This is the Nova Council. Identify yourselves." Mira looked at Ryan, then back at the console. "This is Captain Mira Lorne of the Eclipse Dawn. We followed your signal. Who are we speaking to?" A pause. Then came a reply. "Commander Ryan Holt," the voice said. "You have returned." "We have been waiting." Ryan froze. The voice was calm, familiar, and human, too human. It carried warmth, but also something else, something old. "Who is this?" Ryan asked quietly. The answer came like a whisper through the static. "I am the voice of Terra Nova." The transmission ended. The bridge fell into silence again. Mira turned slowly to Ryan. "They knew your name." "How could they know?" Ryan's expression was unreadable. "Because they made me," Mira frowned. "What do you mean?" Ryan hesitated. I think I wasn't just born there. I was created for this, to find humanity again." Before Mira could respond, the ship's systems flickered and the voice returned, soft, calm, but filled with power. "Welcome home, Commander Holt. Your journey is complete. Terra Nova remembers." The transmission cut off once more, and outside the window, the planet's lights began to shift, forming glowing patterns across its surface. As if the entire world had awakened, Mira stared, speechless. Ryan's homeworld wasn't lost. It had been waiting, watching, and now it was calling him back. The forgotten world had returned to the stars. The world of Terra Nova filled the main window of the Eclipse Dawn, glowing softly beneath the light of twin suns. The sight was breathtaking. Oceans of silver-blue water, islands that shined like glass, and vast continents wrapped in green light. Yet beneath its beauty, Captain Mira Lorne felt something strange, almost alive, pulsing through the air. It wasn't like any other planet she had ever seen. The sensors confirmed an atmosphere rich with energy, yet perfectly breathable, but every reading came with something extra, an odd distortion, a rhythm that matched the same pulse as the mysterious signal they had followed. "It's like the planet itself is talking," said Lieutenant Juno, watching her screen with wide eyes. Ryan Holt stood beside her, silent and focused. His gaze was locked on the rotating sphere before them. "It's not talking," he said softly. "It's remembering." Mira turned toward him. "Ryan, what does that mean?" He hesitated. "When the storm hit centuries ago, it changed everything. My people built their cities using technology that fused with the planet's energy field. Over time, the planet began to respond. It's not just a world anymore, it's part of us." Mira frowned slightly. "You make it sound like it's alive." Ryan nodded. "In a way, it is." The crew of the Eclipse Dawn gathered in the bridge as the ship prepared for descent. The unknown stretched before them. Every sensor reading defied logic. Electromagnetic waves bending around mountains, gravitational shifts that changed with the planet's heartbeat. Juno looked up from her console. "Captain, there's a large structure on the western continent. It's emitting the same frequency as the signal. It's probably where that voice came from." "Then that's where we're going," Mira said firmly. "Helm, plot a course for descent." The engines hummed as the ship angled toward the planet. A golden shimmer wrapped around them, the outer layer of the gravitational veil. The moment they entered, the ship began to shake. "Stabilizers at 60%. Darrow shouted. "The energy field is stronger than we calculated." "Hold it steady," Mira ordered. The lights flickered as the ship pushed through the turbulence. Outside, glowing streaks of light surrounded them like rivers of energy. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time, like flying through a living storm. Then suddenly, everything went still. The clouds parted, revealing a massive landscape beneath them. Floating platforms drifted over seas of glowing mist. Towers of silver rose into the sky, connected by bridges of light. The architecture was both human and alien, familiar shapes yet crafted with impossible precision. Ryan stared in awe. They rebuilt everything. Even after the storm, Mira looked out the window. "Your people did this. They must have evolved. The energy that trapped them also gave them power," Ryan said quietly. "I never thought I'd see it again." The communication console beeped. "Incoming message. Source: Surface Control Tower. Juno quickly activated the receiver. A calm voice spoke. Unidentified vessel, you have entered Terra Nova's atmosphere. State your purpose, Mira replied firmly. This is Captain Mira Lorne of the exploration ship Eclipse Dawn. We come in peace. We received your signal and wish to establish contact. There was a pause. Then the same voice answered. Permission granted. Prepare for guided landing. Coordinates are being transmitted. The ship's autopilot adjusted course. Mira exhaled slowly. All right, everyone. We're about to make history. The landing was smooth, but the silence afterward was heavy. When the ship's ramp lowered, a soft golden light bathed the crew. The air smelled clean, almost sweet, and the sky shimmered with faint waves of color. Waiting for them at the base of a silver platform were figures dressed in sleek uniforms that seemed to glow faintly. Their eyes reflected the same blue energy that filled the air. One of them stepped forward, tall and calm, with silver markings on his skin that pulsed like gentle light. Commander Ryan Holt, the man said in a respectful tone. Welcome home. Ryan's breath caught. You know who I am? The man smiled slightly. Of course. You were born of our legacy. You were created to return. Mira stepped forward cautiously. Created? What does that mean? The man turned to her. Terra Nova has not been idle during its silence. We preserved our essence through genetic memory. When the last of our explorers left long ago, they carried fragments of our code. You, Commander Holt, are the bridge between the lost and the living. Ryan's face grew pale. I was made for this? The man nodded. Your journey awakened the world again. The signal you sent called us from our long rest. Mira looked around at the glowing buildings and the silent figures who watched them. What happened to your people? The man's smile faded. We survived, but we changed. The storm that isolated us gave us new forms of life. We are human still, but more. We live as one with this planet now. He gestured for them to follow. Come, the council wishes to speak. They walked through the shining streets of a city that pulsed with quiet energy. Everywhere Mira looked, the structures moved gently as if breathing. Transparent walls shimmered with patterns of light that responded to footsteps. It was unlike anything she had ever seen. Ryan walked beside her, silent and thoughtful. The streets were filled with people, humans who looked ordinary yet carried an aura of calm intelligence. Some seemed to sense their presence before seeing them, turning with faint smiles as they passed. This place feels alive, Mira whispered. Ryan nodded. It's more than a city. It's part of the planet's heart. The energy from the storm reshaped everything here. When they reached a vast hall at the city's center, massive doors opened silently before them. Inside, a circular chamber glowed with soft blue light. In the center stood a tall crystal pillar that pulsed in rhythm with the planet's heartbeat. Around it sat 5 figures, the Council of Terra Nova. The central figure, an elderly woman with silver hair and glowing eyes, looked at them kindly. Welcome, travelers. The stars have carried your echo back to us. Mira bowed slightly. We come from the human colonies beyond the core systems. We thought you were lost, the woman smiled. We were lost, but not gone. The storm was our trial, and through it we found a new way to live. Her gaze turned to Ryan. And you, child of the past, you are the proof that humanity endures. Ryan stepped forward. You said I was created to return. Why? What did you need me for? The woman's voice was calm but heavy with meaning. Because Terra Nova was never meant to be silent. The old signal was a call, a bridge between our world and yours. We sent it long ago, hoping one of our children would find it. You were that child. Ryan looked down, struggling to speak. I don't even know if I deserve this. I didn't come back as a hero. I came because I didn't belong anywhere else. The woman smiled gently. Then you have come for the right reason, to belong again. As the conversation ended, the crystal pillar began to glow brighter. The council members rose from their seats. The floor beneath them shimmered and the walls filled with images, scenes of stars, ships, and worlds. It was a living memory of Terra Nova's history. Ryan and Mira watched in awe as the story unfolded. They saw how the storm had struck, cutting off their ancestors. They saw how the survivors adapted, learning to use the storm's energy to power their cities. They saw how the planet itself had merged with their technology until both became one. Mira whispered, "This changes everything. Humanity isn't just surviving, it's evolving. Ryan's expression softened. They never gave up. Even when the universe forgot them, the light faded slowly. The woman of the council spoke one last time. Commander Holt, Captain Lorne, Terra Nova welcomes you. But there is more to come. The world has awakened because of your return, and now others will hear our voice once more. Her words filled the hall like a promise. Mira glanced at Rian. Others? The woman nodded. The stars are listening again. The message you sent was not just heard by us. Outside, as they stepped onto the balcony of the Great Hall, Mira looked up at the sky. The twin suns were setting, painting the world in gold and blue. Above, streaks of light crossed the heavens, signals, messages, transmissions spreading outward into the stars. Terra Nova was no longer silent. Ryan stood beside her, his eyes shining with quiet emotion. They heard us, he whispered. Mira nodded slowly. And now the rest of humanity will too. Far above the glowing horizon, the pulse of the planet grew stronger, a steady heartbeat echoing across space, reaching out to the stars that had once turned away. Humanity was no longer alone. The glow from Terra Nova's twin suns spilled across the city, casting long shadows over the crystalline towers and floating bridges. Mira Lorne walked beside Commander Ryan Holt, her eyes wide as she tried to take in every detail. The air was alive with faint currents of energy that moved like invisible rivers, brushing softly against their skin. This place, Mira whispered. It feels alive. Ryan nodded, his gaze fixed on the central crystal pillar that pulsed gently in rhythm with the planet.
It is not just the pillar, the whole world.
The storm didn't destroy it. It transformed it. Every living thing, every structure. Even the air carries memory now. Mira glanced at him. Memory? He stopped and turned to face her. Terra Nova remembers everything. Every thought, every action, every hope of my people. It's all preserved here. That's why the signal reached us. That's why the planet responded when I called. Before Mira could respond, a sudden vibration ran through the platform beneath them. The glow of the city deepened as waves of light moved through the streets, twisting and turning like liquid glass. Juno, who had followed them, looked up from her portable scanner. Captain, the energy readings, they're rising exponentially. The whole planet is reacting to him. Ryan's face softened. They've been waiting for me. For someone who could reconnect Terra Nova to the stars. Mira stepped closer to the glowing pillar. How is this even possible? I've never seen anything like it. Rian placed a hand on her shoulder. The planet and the people became one. We adapted to the storm's energy, learned to live with it, and slowly it learned to remember us. That's why it could answer the signal. As he spoke, the pillar's glow grew brighter. Images began to form inside it, faint shapes that became more distinct. Cities rose and fell, humans walking among structures of light. The scenes shifted rapidly, showing moments from centuries past. Settlers landing on the planet, children laughing near rivers of glowing water, and scientists adjusting devices that merged with the environment. Mira gasped. It's showing history. Their history. Your people's history. Ryan's eyes softened as he watched. Not just my people, mine. I was created from their DNA, their memory. That's why Terra Nova recognizes me. It remembers me as one of them, even before I was born. Juno's voice trembled slightly. So, you were made to return here? Ryan nodded. Yes, to reconnect the planet with humanity again. To remind the stars that we exist. Mira felt a chill run down her spine. She had been in deep space before, faced anomalies and dangers she could not explain, but nothing had ever felt so alive, so intelligent. She looked around at the glowing city and the figures moving silently among the light bridges. Every person here carried an air of calm understanding, as if they sensed the pulse of the planet itself. The council members approached them again. The elderly woman, leader of the council, spoke first. You have seen the memory, Captain Lorne, she said, her voice calm yet powerful. What you witness is the heart of Terra Nova. The storm was not our end, it was our rebirth. And now, your presence allows us to reach beyond this world once more. Mira bowed slightly. I've never seen anything like this. It's incredible. The woman's gaze shifted to Ryan. Commander Holt, the time has come for the next step. Terra Nova can no longer remain hidden. It is ready to answer the call for humanity to reconnect. Rian swallowed, his throat tight. I understand. The council led them to a chamber deeper within the city. Unlike the crystal halls above, this space was organic in appearance. The walls shimmered with flowing patterns of light, almost like veins of energy pulsing beneath the surface. At the center rested a circular platform, covered with symbols that glowed faintly in rhythm with the planet's heartbeat. "This is the core," the woman explained. "It is the source of the planet's memory and energy. It is what preserves our history and allows Terra Nova to communicate across the stars." Mira stepped forward carefully.
"So this is like the brain of the planet?"
Ryan nodded. "Yes, but more than a brain. It is a living archive, a recorder of everything Terra Nova has ever been." The core pulsed brighter as Ryan approached. "It recognizes me," he whispered. "It knows I've returned." The council gestured for him to step onto the platform. The moment his feet touched the surface, waves of energy flowed through him. Mira could see faint, shimmering forms swirl around him. Images of people she didn't know. Moments in time that had never reached the stars. "It's beautiful," Mira said softly. Rian's eyes widened. "It's showing me everything. The lives we lived here, the dreams we had, the knowledge we gained, all of it is preserved, waiting for the day someone could return." The energy flowed from the core into him, illuminating his body with faint light. Mira reached out instinctively. "Ryan, be careful." He shook his head gently. "It's not dangerous. It's like coming home." The core pulsed again, projecting a holographic map of nearby star systems. Lines of energy stretched outward, connecting Terra Nova to the rest of the galaxy. Mira realized what this meant. Terra Nova had been waiting not only to preserve itself but to reconnect humanity. "The signal you received," Rian said, turning to Mira, "was only the beginning. Terra Nova can now reach beyond its isolation. It can call for Earth, for the colonies, for anyone who still exists." Mira felt a thrill run through her. "So, this isn't just a hidden world. It's a beacon." The council leader nodded. "Yes, and you, Commander Holt, are its key." Ryan swallowed hard. I never imagined it would be like this. I thought my return would be quiet, but it's more than I ever dreamed." Mira looked around the chamber. "This place, it's a reminder that humanity never truly disappears. Even when forgotten, we endure. We adapt, we survive, and we find a way to return." The energy from the core shifted again, forming intricate patterns above the platform. Mira could feel it resonating through the air, through her chest, through every fiber of her being. The living memory of Terra Nova was reaching out, not just to Ryan, not just to the eclipsed dawn, but to anyone who might listen. "Captain," Rian said quietly, "I think the planet is asking me to send a new message. To Earth, to the colonies, to everyone who might still exist." Mira nodded. "Then do it. Let them hear Terra Nova." Ryan extended his hands toward the core. Light flowed from the platform into him and then out into the atmosphere, stretching like invisible threads across space. The city responded. Bridges, towers, and streets all pulsed in harmony. The planet itself seemed to hum with power, a living network reaching beyond the veil that had hidden it for centuries. Juno stared at the readings. "The energy. It's incredible. The entire planet is amplifying a signal. It could reach light years." Mira turned to Ryan. "Are you ready?" He nodded. "Yes, it's time for Terra Nova to be remembered again." The core pulsed one final time, sending a burst of energy into the sky. Above the city, the auroras of light stretched outward like fingers, brushing against the darkness of space. For a brief moment, Mira thought she could see distant stars flicker in response, as if the universe itself had taken notice. Ryan exhaled slowly, his eyes filled with awe. "It's done. The call is sent." Mira watched the light fade gradually, leaving the city bathed in the soft glow of twin suns. "And now we wait," she said quietly. "We wait for an answer." The council members gathered around them again, their faces serene. The woman leader spoke softly. "The first step is complete. Terra Nova has awakened. Soon the rest of humanity will know we exist." Ryan looked at Mira. "I never thought I would see this day. I never believed that home could still be waiting." Mira smiled faintly. "Home is not just a place, Rian. It's the people, the memory, and the hope that never dies." "And Terra Nova, your home, is alive in all of that." Above them, the city shimmered gently, alive with energy, memory, and hope. For the first time in centuries, Terra Nova had opened its heart, and humanity would once again hear its voice. The eclipsed dawn hovered above Terra Nova, bathed in the golden light of twin suns. The city below shimmered like a living jewel, alive with energy and memory. For centuries, this world had waited in silence, hidden from the galaxy, yet it had never stopped hoping. And now, through Commander Ryan Holt, it would speak again. Rian stood at the edge of the observation balcony, his hands resting lightly on the railing. He stared at the horizon where the glowing city met the sky. Every pulse of light, every shimmer of energy seemed to reach outward into the stars. Mira Lorne approached him quietly. "Do you really think they'll hear it?" she asked. Ryan's eyes met hers, filled with determination and awe. "They have to. Terra Nova's call is strong. It carries everything: hope, knowledge, memory. It's a message of humanity that cannot be ignored." Above them, the twin suns dipped lower, sending long rays of gold across the city. The core pulsed steadily, sending signals that danced outward like ribbons of light. The entire planet vibrated with energy, as if it were breathing for the first time in centuries. Juno's voice came over the comms. "Captain, sensors are picking up responses. Faint, but real. Something is answering Terra Nova." Mira's eyes widened. "Responses? From where?" Juno adjusted the readings. "It's difficult to trace exactly, but some of the signals match Earth's old communication codes. Others are from deep space colonies. Someone out there is hearing the call." Ryan's lips curved into a small, hopeful smile. "They are listening. Someone heard us." Mira placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then it's working. You brought them back. Your home reached the stars." Ryan's expression grew serious. "This is just the beginning. Terra Nova has been isolated too long. Now humanity can reconnect, share knowledge, and rebuild what was lost." The council appeared beside them, their faces calm yet filled with quiet pride. The leader spoke softly, her eyes glowing faintly. "The call is answered, Commander Holt. The universe now knows Terra Nova exists. Our people waited for this moment, and you have brought it to life again." Rian nodded. "I only followed the signal. Terra Nova's memory guided me here." The woman smiled. "Memory alone is not enough. Courage, faith, and hope were needed as well. You had all three." Mira observed Ryan closely. The weight of centuries, the responsibility of a hidden world rested on him. And yet he had faced it without fear. That was the essence of humanity, she recognized. The ability to endure, adapt and rise even after being forgotten. Far above the planet, the core's light intensified, projecting beams of energy toward the heavens. The pulses carried encoded information, scientific knowledge, history, culture, and guidance. Terra Nova was no longer silent. It was transmitting itself to the stars, reaching out to Earth and the scattered colonies. Mira watched as the sensors on the eclipsed dawn detected responses across light years. Ships, satellites, and communication relays all flickered with recognition. Messages flowed back, curious, cautious, but unmistakably human. Ryan's voice trembled slightly. "They're answering. Humanity is responding." The crew exchanged glances, some in disbelief, some in awe. Every signal that returned was proof that the galaxy had not forgotten Terra Nova. The lost colony had waited, and now through Ryan it would be remembered. On the ground, the citizens of Terra Nova gathered around the glowing core. Children looked up in wonder. Adults bowed their heads in quiet reverence. Energy flowed through the city, connecting every building, every bridge, every living being to the core's pulse. Ryan walked among them, feeling the rhythm of the planet beneath his feet. Each step he took resonated with history and hope. The people recognized him, not just as an individual but as a living symbol of their survival. Mira followed, silently absorbing the scale of what they had achieved. This was more than a reunion. This was proof that humanity, even when hidden, could endure against time, storms, and distance. One of the council members approached Mira. "You have seen our world awaken. You understand why Terra Nova survived. It is not power alone that preserves humanity. It is hope, memory, and the courage to believe that the stars will answer your call." Mira nodded slowly. "I understand, and I see that your people are ready to reconnect with the galaxy." Hours passed, and the sky above Terra Nova shimmered with hundreds of returning signals. The stars themselves seemed to respond, blinking faintly in patterns that mirrored the core's pulse. Ryan stepped onto the central platform once more. "The message is clear," he said. "Terra Nova exists. Humanity endured here, and now we can help others find their way again. The core pulsed brighter, and the city around him shimmered in response. Light flowed through every structure, through every citizen, reaching outward like a living network. It was as if the planet itself had awakened, extending its hand to the rest of humanity. Mira stood beside him. "You've done it," she said softly. "You brought your home back to the stars." Ryan looked at her, eyes full of gratitude. "We've done it, Captain. Terra Nova has returned, not just for me, but for everyone who still lives beyond the stars. And now they will remember us too." The first responses reached the planet's orbit as faint light signals, confirming that Earth and the colonies had received the message. Scientists, explorers, and governments across multiple systems began decoding the transmission. Every pulse, every sequence carried the story of Terra Nova, the survival of humanity, and the proof that lost worlds could be found again. Ryan and Mira watched the readings. Each new signal brought hope and reassurance. Humanity, scattered and divided for centuries, was starting to reconnect. Terra Nova's memory, amplified by the core, had become a beacon of unity and inspiration. This is more than I imagined," Mira whispered. Ryan smiled faintly, tears in his eyes. "It's everything my people dreamed of. It's everything humanity deserves." As night fell on Terra Nova, the city glowed softly beneath the twin suns. The citizens gathered on terraces, bridges, and platforms, gazing at the sky where signals danced like shooting stars. Ryan stood at the central core, hands extended toward the light. "Terra Nova calls to you," he said quietly. "We have waited, we have endured, and now we are ready to welcome you home." The core pulsed, sending waves of energy into the heavens. The planet itself seemed to hum, a deep, resonant sound that vibrated through the air and echoed across space. It was the voice of Terra Nova, the heartbeat of humanity, and the promise of a future where no one would be truly lost again. Mira watched the pulse reach outward, feeling the weight of the moment. Humanity was no longer divided, no longer silent. Terra Nova's awakening had reminded them that even in isolation, they could endure, adapt, and return. Ryan turned to her. "This is the beginning, Captain. A new chapter for humanity." Mira smiled. "And you led the way." Above them, the stars flickered in response to the planet's call. Signals from distant colonies began to return, faint but unmistakable. Earth itself, so far away, pulsed once in reply. Ryan's eyes widened. "They heard us," he whispered. "Yes," Mira replied. "They heard you. They heard Terra Nova. And now humanity will answer its call." The city around them shimmered brighter, the citizens moving in harmony with the planet's heartbeat. Waves of energy flowed outward, carrying the story, memory, and hope of Terra Nova to every corner of space. Ryan and Mira stood side by side, looking out at the horizon. For centuries, this world had waited. For centuries, humanity had been scattered. But now, through courage, faith, and memory, they were reunited. The stars answered Terra Nova's call. Humanity had returned to the galaxy, and the lost world of Ryan Holt had become a living symbol of endurance, hope, and the unstoppable spirit of humankind. And in that moment, Terra Nova shone brighter than any star.